This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of April 12th, 2021. The word of the week is combustion. If you've been stuck, if things haven't been going the way you've been liking them, if you haven't had energy to do much of anything, boy howdy, is this week going to change all of that. Combustion, combustion, combustion. Again and again this week, fires are ignited and then they're stoked and stoked and stoked. If something happens that's not to your liking, it is going to motivate you to get going already and to deal with stuff. We start the week with an incredibly incendiary new moon in Aries with a massive pileup in that fire starter sign. We're talking impetuously. Our hearts are sending us leaping into situations impetuously. We're just acting and reacting and setting things in motion. And the seeds that are tended to now explode with a life force that is going to take you by surprise. And again this week, those fires get stoked, get stoked, get stoked. Pluto and his scythe and his demand for evolution are in the thick of the action of the Aries new moon, making a square. Impossible to stay still with this. Something will go off and you will be in the middle of activity without thinking it through. Possibly without thinking, you'll just be moving, acting, daring, running. Getting the message here? This is what starts the week. Towards the weekend, the sun makes a square to Pluto. That's the 16th. And then on the 17th, Mercury makes a square to Pluto. So as we're running around, as things are being set in motion, by the weekend, we are energized, motivated, forced to bolder action, to dropping a bunch of baggage, to facing things that possibly have been steering situations from the back rooms, from the depths of our cells. The Mercury-Pluto square in particular will bring secrets to light, will force us to confront. Whether we interact with it is something else, but force us to confront raw truths, candid truths, possibly speak things that we would never have dared to say before. In the midst of all this, there are influences that continue stoking the fire. It will be easy for you to get going. You will have opportunities to communicate, to spread your message, to dream bigger, to expand your goals, your scope, your spread, to communicate effectively what's going on in your head, to deal with the information and data flow that's coming and have that feed into your actions, what you're doing, and most of all, anything you set in motion could very likely just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, much more quickly than you have any idea. Energy sources will be at your disposal that you might not have known were there. You start doing something, and this is a week when a word, even a word, suddenly mushrooms into something enormous. Any action you take, any focus that you give to something could spread like wildfire. And it could facilitate dealing with the really deep, dark stuff that's coming up and being bolder and more daring than you've been before. Here's what this makes me think of. Years and years ago, I was extremely active in legal representation of people with AIDS, and I took training with a foundation years after I'd been doing it to sensitize me to the experience of people with AIDS. And one of the exercises we did dovetailed with something I'd already observed. We were to write down on index cards one item on a card, 5 things that we thought were incredibly important to us, and then the facilitator made us hand over one card at a time what we had to give up. And it became clear in an instant what priorities were. I have noticed this with people I've worked with who've suddenly gotten really catastrophic health news or had a really bad accident or lost someone very unexpectedly. The experience has a way of making you immediately and instinctively knowing what is most important to you and of making you drop whatever doesn't really matter to you. This week, we drop a tremendous amount. And a lot of it is going to come from our experience of the past year. This week and throughout the rest of the month, we will have multiple moments when it will be the most natural thing in the world to simply let go of something, to simply say, nope, that's not it. Not overthink it, not worry about it, not sit and be concerned about how other people are going to think about it, but be extraordinarily self-focused and simply drop things. And the focus will not be on the dropping, but on what you're moving into. So it's more like an afterthought, like, oh, don't need that, blam. And then having the fires ignite and ignite and ignite inside you and around you. It will be organically apparent where your life is going, where situations are heading, and what you want, how you want to engage with them. It's not all crazy town this week. However, Venus, the goddess of pleasure, the goddess of all that we desire, money, relationships, pretty baubles, our creativity, our values. Venus goes home to her spring abode of Taurus on the 14th. And there is this settling down, presages a lot of settling down that will happen later in the month. But while all this fiery activity is going on, there will be a portion of our lives and definitely in our interactions that wants to settle into the physical experience, to have a snack, to rest, to lie on the divan and let somebody else run around and go get what she wants. Venus is not in an active mode. She has been in Aries as she is at the new moon. She is huntress. She is going after what she wants. Then by the middle of the week, she settles into, I'm just going to lie here and wear clothing that feels nice and sip a soothing beverage and smell flowers and eat chocolate, and I'm going to rest. So there will be a portion of your existence that does feel grounded while this is all going on. And you may be finding yourself really wanting to spend time in nature, to surround yourself with flowers, to pay attention to the tastes and textures of whatever you're drinking or eating. And this is going to fuel the desire to actually tangibly be with people, to go out and hang out with people. Just remember that there is also a spreading out of control potential in the other energy, so take whatever precautions you see fit. Just keep in mind your ultimate comfort is the centerpiece of all of the bustle, all of the activity, and know that by the end of the weekend on the 18th, you will very likely have incredible clarity about what you want, a new vision of yourself as being able to make things happen, as you're being able to get your life off dead center, as you're being your own personal superhero. Go to it, my friends. Feel free to report back about your adventures. Homing thought of the week. A little goes a long way. Song of the week, Into the Wild by Connell Cruz. And the image of the week is forest rangers setting a burn in a diseased part of the forest. and having to be extremely watchful that the fire does not burn out of control. You'll learn more about this in my Astro-Insight for the Aries new moon, which is up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. Tune into my Om Times radio show, Celestial Compass, at 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday for a talk with Monte Farber and Amy Zerner, whose enchanting work many of us have loved for decades. If you miss the live show, it'll be in the archives. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. I host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited in the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I am really grateful to the people who are supporting my work there, and you could be one for as little as $1 a month. If Astro-Insight is helping you get through life, consider supporting it, please. I post on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.